It is,
Yeah.
as they say, one of the most painful surgeries you can have, and
Yeah.
I can testify it's not great.
Yeah.
But when you have to have it, you have to have it. Every
Yeah.
day is getting a little bit better. I remember it was after, I think, my first total knee replacement and working on a reciprocal gait pattern, trying to get up the stairs. So instead of 2 feet per stair,
Hmm.
I got the strength back in my legs where I could put one leg on each step and go up. And it was like so momentous to me, like so joyful that I could do that. So there's small wins, but they're big wins.
Welcome to Happy and Healthy with Amy, the brain health podcast for women in midlife who want to not just survive, but actually thrive during the menopause transition and beyond. I'm Amy Lang, master health coach, best-selling author, and daughter of Alzheimer's, and I'm here to help you make this next chapter of your life the best one yet. Well, hi there, Amy here. Thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome back to another episode of Happy and Healthy. This is part 3 of Move for Your Brain with Marian Barnick, and this is the one with the message I really hope leaves you feeling empowered and wanting to take action, right? So in part 2, we ended with this: your brain wins. Always. So if you want the full health benefits of movement, you really have to address what the brain has automated, right? Those compensations, and not just push harder at the gym. So today, we're talking about what that looks like in practice. Specifically, we're going to focus on leg strength and why it may be one of the most powerful brain health investments you can make in midlife. So Marian's going to walk us through that, and she's going to do it as someone who has essentially rebuilt her own legs from the ground up and more than once. All right, so again, here's part 3 of my interview with Marian Barnick. Let's talk about, so I know you quite well at this point, right?
A
Can
little
you
bit, yes.
can, can you just maybe update folks on what happened or what's been going on with you since you were on this podcast a couple years ago now?
Oh, that's been a road, a
Yeah.
recovery road. As you know, I had a car accident and we thought it was just a simple car accident, be back at work in a couple of weeks, no problem. And that was what I thought too is, hey, I'm strong. My doctor said to me too, you're strong, you're young, you're so fit, you're energetic, you're going to fight this, you're going to be back at it. Great. We didn't know all of the medical damage that was internal into the joints, specifically my knee.
Mm.
And I have gone through, can't even count how many surgeries now on this knee. I had had way, way back in, I can't even remember when, 2003, a partial knee replacement. There was something traumatic that happened, had a partial knee replacement. It was awesome. I could run after, I had no problems, didn't think about it, would go running with the dog, play tennis, play pickleball, anything. And then after the car accident, I had damage to the knee and 2 grade 4 focal defects, which means that all the articular cartilage was worn off the joint. So when people talk about bone on bone, this was all of a sudden bone on bone. And I had to have a joint replacement done. So I had a total knee replacement. Unfortunately, it was not done correctly.
Mm.
So a year later, I had to have another one done. And then I developed so much scar tissue from the 2 surgeries. Last August, I just had another surgery done to remove a whole bunch of scar tissue. So it's been a huge process in recovery, regaining walking, regaining stairs, regaining elliptical, learning to try to do kneeling and trying to do squats and trying to do, building up mobility, then building up my motor control. Because when you have a knee replacement, you lose a lot of the proprioceptors in your body. So you can't feel your knee anymore. You don't feel where it's at, where it is in space. You don't feel the pressure of how your ankle will move and send signals back up to your knee. So all that has to be retrained with a loss of the proprioception. So
Mm.
it really is like starting from scratch in a way of you're walking, you're stair climbing, your lunges, cycling, trying to get back to running. So it's been a bit of a journey. So
Yeah, yeah.
still
No,
fighting.
I remember after your surgery, you were in so much pain. I just,
It is,
yeah,
as they say, one of the most painful surgeries you can have, and
yeah,
I can testify it's not great.
yeah,
But when you have to have it, you have to have it. And I went through talking to a lot of doctors, a lot of physiotherapists, a lot of kinesiologists, chiropractors, you name it. I spoke with them about was there anything else I could do? And there really wasn't.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
went in guns a-blazing and want to get back into, every day's a journey. Every
yeah,
day is getting a little bit better.
yeah, yeah. So, when we talk about brain health, actually, one of the things that I really want to focus on too is leg strength. So there is a ton of research. I'm going to include some citations to different research studies for those of you who are curious about it. But when it comes to like the size of your hippocampus, there is a relationship between that hippocampal volume and your leg strength. So I am
It's wild,
actually,
isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So I'm wondering if you could walk us through like your foundations first framework and apply it to lower body strength. Can you help us just in terms of like as people are watching or listening to this episode that they can walk away with some tangible things that they can do?
Yeah, and it is so important, especially when we talk about perimenopausal and menopausal women and the breakdown that happens in our body. And as we age, the loss of strength, the loss of muscle mass, that occurs. It is vitally important that we work on our strength training, not just for our musculoskeletal system that we don't want to come up with, end up with osteoporosis or osteopenia, but also for our own well being, for our own activities of what we want to do. And as you said, for brain health. But oftentimes, as we said, some women are very sedentary at first. They realize they need to get going, but they've got limitations. They've got some habits that they need to break. You need to start always with a program. First of all, make sure you get the okay of your regulated healthcare professional. Don't just jump off the couch, put down the Kentucky Fried Chicken, and say, I'm going off and running 10 miles. Probably not the wisest idea. Or go try to bench press or go do, squats with 100 pounds. You have to take it in stages. And the first stage is to make sure that you have the mobility in your lower body to do the strengthening activities you want. If you look at how people squat, and I think it's such an interesting component because it's such a functional movement, but it's so complex. Squatting is a fantastic exercise for your lower body. Amazing. Builds that quad strength, builds your glute strength, works your hamstrings. But if you have decreased ankle mobility, your squats are going to be horrible. You're going to get upset. You're going to have pain, probably in your knees, and you're going to give up. And then you're going to be depressed and you're going to feel awful. And you're never going to get to that goal where you want to get to.
Wait,
And
I
we,
want to call out something. You just said your ankles lack mobility and that shows up as knee pain.
yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I want to tag that for folks who are because so often people are like, "Oh, I feel this," and they don't know that the source is really someplace else. So I just,
It's so true. The pain that you feel is a symptom of an underlying pathology. It's the way that your body is talking to you. It could be the weakest link. It could be what's having to compensate for the lack of mobility in the ankles. You may have more mobility in your knee. So your knee has to work more and work more and work more. Or that change in your biomechanics because the ankle's not moving, you're leaning forward more. You're putting more pressure on the anterior part of your knees. The things are overworking. You're putting strain on the patella tendons and you're getting tendonitis. And then you're another 6 weeks in icing and rehab and everything, and you want to give up on it. You don't. You want to train properly. You need to check your mobility first. You need to make sure, especially when we're talking about building quad strength and how big those muscles are, that there's 4 of them there and they're so functional. You need to check. How's your hip moving? There's 6 different ranges of motion within your hip. Have you checked them all? Your ankle has 4 different ranges of motion. Have you checked them all? Your knee, flexion and extension, pretty easy one with just 2. And you want to make sure your toes are moving well. So when you're walking, if you're backpedaling on a pickleball court, that those toes are moving and they can flex and extend as well. Easy thing to do. Check your mobility before you move forward. Check your balance. Go into standing on one leg. Do you see those changes? Do you see that if you stand on one leg, you drop that hip, you drop a shoulder? Hands got to go out there to help you try to balance that area where your center of gravity is. Check your balance. Then get into your strength training. So you've got to go through those foundations first, framework, to go from your mobility to your stability to your strengthening. And then guns a-blazing, go for that strength, absolutely, but with good form. The body alignment is key. So if you're finding, like if your listeners are finding the need for strengthening, they're in menopause, they know it's important, they want that brain health as well for building those strong quads and those strong muscles, then you don't want to be deterred by pain. It's going to be the number one thing that throws women out of the gym and back onto the couch is pain. So if we can get rid of the pain by starting first with those simple things like range of motion and moving your way up, you're going to have so much better results and you're going to last so much longer doing it. You can be 100 years old and still out doing your sprinting. You can be playing tennis at 100. I had a neighbor. She was so upset. She had to have a surgery. She was 99 years old and she
Wow.
couldn't ski that winter because she had to have surgery for something. And it wasn't an orthopedic thing. I think it was a gallbladder or something else. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't orthopedic. And that was the first year she said that she can remember ever missing skiing at 99 years old. So there's no excuse.
Well,
And let me
someone,
tell you, her brain health was great too. She
yeah,
really was. Yeah.
yeah,
No issues.
yeah,
Yeah. It was awesome.
yeah. So if we talk about what exercise can do, one of the things is it triggers the release of BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor. And this is like miracle grow for your brain. It helps your brain form new connections. So when we talk about retraining your brain, you want that BDNF release. Um, but I digress here. As you were talking about mobility, right? As you started talking about ankle mobility, I'm like, huh. I wonder if so do you have anything that people can go watch or learn more about ankle mobility and hip mobility, like what their ankles should be able to do?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have a mobility guide
Oh,
and it's for the lower body. Absolutely. So it'll take you through what they should be, what the norms are. And again, none of us are normal, but it's a great guide to say, okay, my knee should be moving. It should be 0 degrees of extension and 140, let's say, or 135 of flexion. Well, if you've got from 0, you're really at 1 or 2, don't fight it. Work on it, stretch it. But don't say, oh my goodness, I'm doomed because I didn't hit the normal. It's a guide. And it's things like your hip extension should be, let's say you're at 3 degrees. You need to really work on that. So those are the ones where we're looking at, are you sitting in the 5th percentile or the 95th percentile? So it'll help you accommodate and see where you may be having some limitations. And those are things you can work on in trying to get your mobility back with a good sense of stretching. So I can give you the link to that. If you want to put
okay.
it on here,
Yeah.
I'll give you the link for that. And if it's free.
Great, great.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about just as a personal trainer, I'm always telling folks about the importance of proper form. But if someone, for example, lacks the ankle mobility, that form is just not going to be available, quite frankly. So this is why that foundations first framework is so important, right? That you're tackling it in that order. Yeah.
It's really true. I do a lot. I'm certified as a functional movements evaluator,
Mm.
and I would do work with young athletes, and we would go through the functional movement screen. And bless the kids' hearts because the parents were like, "No, no, stay on the balance beam. No, no, straighten up. I can see that foot falling. That foot's going out. Straighten it up." They can't do it. They couldn't for all of their intents of trying to be perfect on the test.
Mm.
They couldn't do it and they didn't have a choice. It was deficits in movement that was causing it. And the tests that we do show those bad habits. And that's what we need to work on. That's what we always go through an evaluation first. We need to see, I can watch someone walk and say, wow, they've got decreased range of motion here, or they're not using their glutes, or their knee isn't coming into full extension. But until I evaluate to see what the root cause is, we're not going to fix it properly. So we've got to get to that root cause and fix those habits.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, I love when you say root cause. We're so good at treating symptoms.
Oh,
We're right. Your knee hurts. Let me give you a brace. Okay, brace is good for the short term. Can we
or
figure
an
out?
Advil.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to encourage folks. Like, if you are experiencing pain, as opposed to sucking it up or taking an
Right.
Advil, right? Whatever these things are, I think it's really important to actually address what's going on so that you can actually like move. You don't have to live with the pain. Now, sometimes maybe you will, but I think more often than not, if we really were to focus our attention on it and be resourceful and find someone to help us, we can actually do things that can at least reduce the pain, right? If not, yeah, you're
Yep.
nodding your head.
Yeah, absolutely. There are chronic conditions, and it's so unfortunate that there are chronic conditions where people will have pain. But there's also so much research that shows that exercise will reduce pain in so many of those chronic conditions as well. So we've got to be aware. You've got to exercise within the parameters of what's set if you have a systemic illness. But the exercise is the go-to of what's going to make you feel better, both physically and mentally.
Yeah. So you have one other pet peeve I know, like when people talk about doing strengthening or stretching. Just watching your facial expression, I want to give you an
Yeah, I'm an
opportunity.
open book when it comes to that. Sorry.
But you want to give people a little bit of a rundown on why that I just pushed a button.
Yeah, I think in light of what we're discussing, in light of menopausal women and working on brain health, people say go strengthen, get stronger. And that's such a push for women too, is everyone needs to be stronger. We want to be strong. We want to have good muscles. And yes, you do, but do you want to be able to touch your toes? And, if you're in a change room and trying on a new pair of pants, do you have to look for a place to sit down because you can't put the pants on, while you're standing up? You have to sit on the edge of your bed. You look at all the things that come before strengthening. Can you balance on one leg? I see older women, and I'm not going to I'm not going to give you an age range, but their walking is so unstable. They have balance issues. They're walking with a really wide base of support. They shuffle. They walk with really short steps because they're so afraid to have that little minuscule time in between each step where they're standing on one leg and then the other leg has to come down. But they want to strength train. Oh my goodness. No, you don't want to strength train now. You can't strength train because it's not going to be functional for you. You're not going to adapt and have benefits from the strength training until you take the things that are lower on the totem pole and work on that. Is your ankle moving properly? Is your knee moving properly? Are your hip flexors so fired so much that they're weak because of the posture you have, because you're so afraid of falling, you're hunched over all the time. Those are the things we need to break down first before we get into strengthening. It's such an overused word. And I'm in a group for total knee replacement runners, people who want to get back to running. They have to have a total knee replacement. Things have happened. They want to get back to running. And it's like, oh yeah, the surgeon just says, I need to get stronger. That really bugs me because they've left all the steps beforehand before you get stronger. Yes, strength is definitely a requirement. And as you said, for brain health and your restored protocol, that exercise is there because it's going to help with your brain health. But you've got to have those steps beforehand to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so ultimately that is the goal. I think that it's just to understand that there are steps before that that need to happen, because we do want you to get to the strength, but we want to get there in a way that's not setting you up actually for more injury, which I think is very easy to happen if those two other things aren't in place first. Yeah.
Really easy to happen. And when you have an injury and you've been working so hard to feel better and move better and get better, and the injuries keep happening, it's so you, you just feel mentally, you just feel so down about that because you're doing everything that you think you should be doing and you're just not seeing those results yet. So we want to save people from having to fall into those
Yeah.
categories of used to be athletes as opposed to forever athletes.
Oh, yeah, I like that. Used to be former, formerly known as.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So, and you and I both love tennis. So I think this is one of those. I want to give a plug to tennis because for brain health, when you think about what tennis is able to do, right? We've got the exercise component, and you're doing a lot of things. I mean, there's like some cardio in there, there's some low impact stuff in there, right? There's looking at reaction time and agility, all these things around movement that are really good. Or you're reacting to something that's using your brain. I'm taking lessons because I didn't play tennis when I was younger. So I'm learning a new skill that's challenging to the brain. And then well, tennis is an inherently social sport.
Yes.
So social connection is also really important. So this is one of the reasons I love tennis. Do you have anything to add on the tennis front?
Just the fact that it's almost like playing a chess match in a way as well. So
Hmm.
you're strategizing, which is also using your brain. So you think, where am I hitting that serve to? If we can do that. Some of us not so good at that. My son, much better. But what angle are you hitting the serve at? And are you having them come up? Are you volleying? Are you hitting it deep in the court? So your brain's constantly working on strategy because you want to win. So once you get some of those moves down pat, it's that social atmosphere. You've got a competitive part of it, you've got the strategy part of it, and you're reacting to someone else's strategy as well.
Yeah.
So I think all in all, it is an amazing sport and you can play that forever.
Yeah.
It really is a great sport.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. So, so we talked about how movement is really medicine. We've talked about how our patterns are really like our movement patterns are like habits. They are habits, right? And
oh, they are.
so,
Yeah.
so if our body is remembering old injuries and we're doing things that no longer serve us, they can be reprogrammed,
Oh, yes, absolutely.
right? And then we talked about how important it is to really invest in, especially like lower body, leg strength, right? Not just for balance, um, but really it's help with your brain health, right? And movement, just generally speaking, makes life easier, right? That's we were meant to move.
Absolutely. And it's our form of locomotion, how we get someplace. I mean, God forbid we run out of gas, the car breaks down, something happens, and we have to walk to a gas station, or we have to walk home, or walk to the subway or a bus stop. That's our locomotion. So having that strength and that ability and the endurance in our muscles to be able to do that, to keep our form of locomotion, it's uh, it's a big freedom of living. It's a great way to be able to stay in control of your life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, ultimately, actually, as we get older, I watch my dad and my mom, like how important it is to them to be able to um, be independent, to
Yeah.
live on their own, right? So it is ultimately about being able to live the life you want. And
It absolutely is. And I know, going through the knee surgeries, I've also gone through ankle surgeries and shoulder surgeries, and that loss of independence. It's devastating. It really is. And I mean, thank goodness for family that has just been so amazing to me and helped me through those tough times, but that loss of independence is terrible, and I think you fight even more, and that's one of the things I love to say, do not settle. Don't let yourself fall into that category to say, I've had this problem. I can't get over it. I'm going to have to learn to live with it. Uh. Very often, I'd say 90% of the time, there is something more you can do. You just don't know about it.
Yeah.
There is more you can do. And that's why podcasts and videos like this to inform people that there are things you can do, that you do not have to settle. It's so empowering. It is absolutely empowering.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I was watching a video with Dr. K, and he was talking about how there are so many self help videos out there now that in some ways are counterproductive. It's like you're doing things to be productive, and so you end up watching a video or listening to a podcast, but you don't have a specific problem that you're trying to solve. So that's the difference. If you have a specific problem you're trying to solve, and then you go look for a solution. Now, if you're listening to podcasts or watching videos, right?
Yeah.
Now you have something in mind. So as you're listening to this episode, I want you to think about like, do you have some aches and pains that you've just been living with? That if you took the time and the energy to address, that would have the long term benefit, the long term consequences that you address them today so that tomorrow can be better. Day after
That's a
tomorrow.
great that is a great point, that you are focused on a solution, because I mean, it's the scroll, right?
Yeah.
You end up scrolling instead of saying, okay, what do I really want to work on? What's important to me now and in the future? And where are those resources? So get those resources and find the solutions. Yeah, I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we should land this particular series now. Um, I always end the podcast with a quote. Do you have a particular quote in mind that you would like to share with folks?
My saying, I think that with patients and with clients, with people I meet, is do not settle. And I said that earlier, but that's just sort of a mantra to me. So I don't know if that's a quote per se, but it's just a mantra of not settling, especially for myself, those days where
Hmm.
you do feel like, and you maybe don't want to get out of bed and you think, oh, can I really walk the dog? Or, do I really need to go to the gym? It's like, yeah, because I don't want to settle. I really do not want to settle. And having a youngster as well. So, I want to set a good example. I want to set a good example for my clients as well. They see me going through this journey, and it's, physically and emotionally, it's been such a change for me
Hmm.
that I want that old self back. I don't want to settle for, what's been sort of handed to me, maybe some bad cards, but yeah, no, I can break free.
Well,
I don't have to
not
settle.
even old self. I would say future self that's
You know what? Yes. Thank you.
wiser and
Thank
yeah.
you. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Because I remember my first car accident where I had the 5 shoulder surgeries. That was in 1993. I just graduated from, with my degree in kinesiology, my Bachelor of Science. I was working with patients, full of energy, so excited, had the car accident. Oh my gosh, still went to work. The understanding of what you go through mentally and physically to come back from that made me so much better as a therapist, because I could bond with my patients with a bond I did not have before. I could be understanding and I could be resourceful, but I didn't have that emotional tie that
Mm.
was there. And I learned so much from it. And it did make me better. So I think those hardships do make you better and help you grow. So
Yeah.
thank you for that correction.
Well, I think about when I broke my shoulder. This was
Mm.
back in 2012. And I was like, oh, having gone through this, that like truly having my own lived experience, right? Where you want to empathize with folks, but having gone through it, I'm like, okay, I know actually what the struggle might be, and like the emotional toll, the energy drain. If you've never had
Oh,
chronic pain, you might not know just how draining that is. So, I think yeah, all of those experiences make us that much better at what we're doing. So,
absolutely. And that's why I like those groups where I can contribute, let's say, to the total knee replacement runners group, where I can give insight not only as a member because of the knee replacement and because I want to get back to running, but as a kinesiologist to say, hey, here's what's going on. Here's what I see. It's a gentleman put in a video. So I was watching his video. So I gave him some insight onto his biomechanics. Oh my gosh, he was so happy. I'm like, yeah, I come from it from both sides, and it is such a blessing. It really is.
So you've had 5 shoulder surgeries.
I sure did.
What
2
else?
and 3.
Uh-huh. What other surgeries have you had?
I have had a partial knee replacement on the left knee. I have had 2 total knee replacements on the left knee. I've had a patellar clunk surgery on the left knee. I have had a bursa that was caught in the mechanics of my left knee, and that had to be removed. I had a scope to clean out the damage of all of the broken articular cartilage after my accident in 2019. That surgery was done as well. I had 3 surgeries on my right ankle and foot because that was the one that pushed the brake when the car came in front of me. And so 3 different surgeries on there. I had a 3-inch tear in one of my muscles along my right leg that had to be stitched up. I got infection in the hospital, so I had to have a surgery for that to remove the infection. And wisdom teeth.
So when people tell you that they've had surgery, you can relate to that. Yeah.
I can relate to the
Yeah.
pain before surgery, the pain after surgery, the pain during recovery, and the joyfulness of being able to do such small little things. Like I remember it was after, I think, my first total knee replacement and working on a reciprocal gait pattern, trying to get up the stairs. So instead of 2 feet per stair, 2 feet per stair, 2 feet per stair,
Mm-hmm.
I got the strength back in my legs where I could put one leg on each step and go up. And it was like so momentous to me, like so joyful that I could do that. And then being able to walk up the stairs without a handrail.
Hmm.
I mean, all those little things, being able to walk the dog. So amazing. So there's small wins, but they're big wins.
Okay. So let's recap this series. There are 3 things I want you to walk away with. First, movement is medicine. There's a mountain of research that supports this, and the message is unambiguous. On top of that, stronger legs mean a younger functioning brain, a larger hippocampus, and better cognitive outcomes a decade from now. Okay, so we're talking about protecting your memory, your independence, and your future self. Second, how you move matters as much as, or Marian would say, more than how much you move. So if your body is running compensated patterns from an old injury, from years of sitting, from the joint changes that come with menopause, you're probably not getting the full benefit of movement. And while strength training is important, the foundation has to come first. Mobility before stability. Stability before strength. And if the pain has been stopping you from exercising, that pain is information, right? It's not the ending. It's your body asking you to address the root cause, not to cover it up, not to ignore it, or even push through it. And third, and this one is from Marian, and I think it might be the most important thing that was said in this entire series. Do not settle. More often than not, there is something more you can do. You probably just don't know about it yet. And remember, the goal is not getting back to your old self, right? It's about your future self, the wiser, stronger, and still moving version of you. So Marian also shared her story in this episode and a message that I keep coming back to, right? After her first total knee replacement, she worked and worked and worked until the day she could walk up the stairs, 1 foot on each step without a handrail. And she said they were small wins, but they were also big wins, right? And that's really what this series has been about, right? Or this podcast, really. Not perfection, not a complete overhaul. Small wins that compound into something that matters enormously your brain health, your mobility, your independence, your ability to live the life you want for as long as possible. So if you haven't already, go grab my restored protocol at moxie-club.com/restored. Again, it's my free guide to the 8 evidence-based lifestyle factors that protect your brain through the menopause transition and beyond. And exercise is one of them, right? And now you know exactly how to approach it. So thank you so much for being here for all 3 parts. And links to everything we mentioned, including Marian's free lower body mobility guide, are in the show notes or the description if you're watching on YouTube. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. And until next time, take care. Hi there. Would you please do me a quick favor? If you're a woman in midlife who wants to protect her brain, especially if you have a family history of Alzheimer's, please subscribe, right? This channel is for you. And I post every week. So not only do I not want you to miss my next episode, as the channel grows, I'll be able to access harder to book guests who have really valuable insights and wisdom that I think are best learned directly from the source, right? And if this episode resonated with you, please be sure to like and share and watch this episode next.